Of course there's a plane, like, flying over right as I start. I have a new flatmate. Casper's friend Ella has moved in with us, and she's lovely. It's been so nice getting to know her. Having someone new in the flat, you know, it's got me reflecting on 2 years of living here, and also just thinking back to when I moved in and when we got this flat. I thought I would just make a quick little video about that. So obviously when I got my job, I needed to start looking for a place to live when I was in my graduate year, and I was honestly really lucky. This was only the third place that we looked at, and I think we were kind of panicking, to be honest. We probably still had a lot more time to find somewhere, but as soon as we found this place and it seemed pretty good, we were like, let's just take it. We need to sign the papers right now. This was around May half term. We moved in here in August. That was back in 2023. Now, a quick disclaimer. I love this flat now. I love how homey it has become. I really enjoy living here. But when we moved in, it was a bit of a different story. So when we looked around, I think we weren't really paying quite enough attention. We looked for all the basic things that were on our list to make sure that this was a place that was compatible for the three of us to live here. But I guess when you're viewing somewhere and there's someone else's stuff around, and also there were people home when we viewed the apartment, you don't get as much of a feel of what it's actually like, you know, if you were to strip it to its bare bones and see it how you would be moving into it, basically. When we looked around, we could tell it was like a little messy, maybe like a little dirty. I mean, there were 3 boys living here, and you can imagine. But we just kind of thought, yeah, it's fine, like, you know, everything will be clean before we move in, like, it'll be great. Oh boy, was I wrong. So I moved up all my stuff on the train because my mum didn't have a car at the time. So my mum, my brother and I carried all my stuff on the train and then had to get a taxi to the flat, which, I mean, that was stressful enough. Anyone who's ever had to take a large amount of luggage on the train, even if it's just like one big suitcase, knows how stressful it can be. But we arrive in Paddington, we're waiting for a taxi, and that's when I get a call from, I guess, like the letting agent, basically to let us know that the flat hasn't been cleaned. And I kind of wasn't really registering what he was saying at the time, to be honest, because the signal was so bad I couldn't understand. I was just praying that he wasn't being like, sorry, so no one's gonna let you in, you're gonna have to like live on the street for the next like week. That's what I was like worrying he was saying on the other end. It was fully unintelligible. We get to the flat, we go in, and very quickly it becomes apparent that yes, it has not been cleaned before we moved in. In fact, maybe it hasn't been cleaned for the past year. It's one thing to live in mess, right? Dirt? When I tell you, like, it just, oh my god, I couldn't even focus on what was happening, to be honest, because, you know, this is me. Obviously, I've been away at boarding school, but this is the day I'm properly moving out of my family house. Like, I'm gonna be a fully independent person now, and that should be really emotional. But I honestly, at this point, once I saw the flat, I wasn't even thinking about that. I was just thinking, we need to clean immediately. Bella didn't actually move in with us, she came later, so it was me and Casper moving in on the first day. But everyone, our families, were super helpful. Immediately we, you know, ran to the shop, got cleaning stuff. Everybody sort of like picked an area and tackled it. I started on my bedroom. There was just so much that it was such a heavy job that we had to focus on the few hours we had and just making it livable. And then me and Casper would have to take up the task of kind of getting it presentable another time, because we moved in a week before we started work, which in hindsight, thank God. So we had a lot of time to get our shit together. Frantic. I was sweating. I was scrubbing to the gods. It was just a lot. I remember being so stressed. I was probably in the pissiest mood ever. I remember feeling so bad afterwards because I felt like I was just being awful. Like, I couldn't even talk to anyone. I was like, I just can't deal with this. It was so overwhelming. And then it gets to however many hours later and our families go. My mum's like, right, we have to go. So I say goodbye to my mum and my brother, and that's when it starts to feel a bit real. And then they leave, and then it's just the two of us left in a grown-up flat still with a lot more cleaning to do. We ended up staying up until like 3 a.m. that night because there was no way I was going to sleep in a bedroom that was dirty. That was not happening at all. I just remember though, once my family left, I think I went to go to like the supermarket again to pick up some more like food bits, and that's when I actually processed what had happened, and it suddenly all just hit me, and I was walking down the street and I just burst into tears, actually realizing that I wasn't gonna be able to sit there and watch TV with my mum that night. It was really sad. It hadn't hit me until that moment, and then I was like, I want my home back. But it was the first moment of truly realising, like, wow, I am an adult now. Like, this is it. I don't know, it was just weird, because obviously I have been away at boarding school, so it's not like I'm not used to being away from my family or anything. But to know that it wasn't going to be, like, my home anymore. Obviously I still go back and visit, but there's just something so different about once you've actually moved out. And that moment, that day, once the sort of chaos had settled, was when I really realised that. But honestly, I'm so happy to be living independently. And like I said, now that we've lived here for 2 years and we've made this place feel really beautiful. Also, shout out to my landlords. I don't want to sound like I'm digging at them, because it's not an issue with them. They're actually really lovely. It's whoever the gremlin boys that lived here before us, they're the real problem. That is my story on moving into my first big girl apartment. Alrighty, happy Vida. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you tomorrow. Alright, goodbye.